Good afternoon, students. Welcome to today's class. Dear students, in our day-to-day life, we see so many children, those who have no parents, and some are growing up in the orphans, and because of this situation, some children are becoming beggars and some are becoming child laborers, like that. So this was one of the social evil that we are observing in the society. So the fourth lesson of your English test is about an child. His name is Oliver Twist, who had lost her mother when he took his first breath. So after that, what happened? How he was grown up in a poor house or in an orphan. That has been narrated by the author Charles Dickens. So the name of the prose is The Boy Who Asked More. Prose. The boy who asked more. So the author of this lesson, Charles Dickens, 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 Charles Dickens. So before going to start the lesson, let's see a short introduction about the author. Charles Dickens, he was born on 1812 and he was died on 1870. In that period, he was there on this earth. The greatest Victorian novelist is known for his attacks on social evils like child labor and institutional cruelty. He was a Victorian novelist, so he was alive in the period of Victoria, when the Victoria Queen was there. So that's why he was called as Victorian novelist. And his attacks on social evils like child labor and institutional cruelty. So through his writings, he tried to picturize or tried to show the social evils just like child labor and institutional cruelty. His more writings are on these evils. His most popular works are David Copperfield. So his popular words, David Copperfield. Copperfield. And the tale of two cities. A tale of two cities. A tale of two cities and great expectations. Great expectations. So these are the main works of the author Charles Dickens. One is David Copperfield, A Tale of Two Cities and Great Expectations. So the given extract is Oliver Twist is telling us about Oliver. The main role of the main character of this story was how he was forcefully out of the poorhouse. So how he was kicked out from the poorhouse. That is the story of this extract. Okay, this was a short introduction about the author. Okay, students. Page number 60, and I will read the lesson first. You observe my pronunciation and my reading and identify the difficult words, and I will write the meanings of difficult words on the blackboard. You will take them. So paragraph one first. Oliver was born in the poor house of a little country town on a cold black night in the winter of 1837. The birth was attended by a doctor who was hostily called for the purpose and by an old pauper woman who was experienced in such matters. The mother died almost as soon as the baby took his first breath. She was a young, good-looking woman who had been found lying in the street. It was clear that she had walked some distance before she died. Her shoes had been torn to pieces. Where she had come from or where she had been going, nobody knew. The baby cried loudly. If he could have known that he was now an orphan of a poorhouse, it is likely that he would have cried still louder. They called him Oliver Twist, a name invented by Mr. Bumble, the town beadle, because he could not think of any other. Mr. Bumble had full authority over the people of the poorhouse. He thought himself a very great man indeed. He starved and ill-treated the children under his care. Oliver's 9th birthday found him a pale, thin child who had hardly known a kind word or met with a kindly look. His only friends were his little companions in misery. But in the end, they brought him trouble. They pursued him to ask for more. It happened that one evening at supper time, the children were fed in a large stone hall with a big metal basin at one hand. The master stood by the basin and served each child with a small bowl of watery gruel. Boys generally have excellent appetites. Oliver and his companions were always hungry and never given enough to eat. That evening, one of the bigger boys stated quite clearly that unless he had an extra bowl of gruel, he would most certainly eat the boy who slept next to him. He had a wild and hungry eye, So the smaller boys believed him. A council was held. Oliver Twist was appointed to walk up to the master after supper and to ask for more. So let's stop here. I will explain from the first paragraph. So here the main characters of this story is, one is Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist. And the second one is Mr. Bumble. Mr. Bumble. And one more main character is the bigger boy. Bigger boy. And the last. So these are the main characters of this short story. So dear students, the Oliver Twist, he was the main character of this main role of this story. He was born in a cold winter night. When he took his first breath, his mother died. So that was been from that scene the story started. Oliver was born in the poorhouse of a little country town on a cold block night in winter of 1837. So this Oliver was born. Where he was born? He was born in a poorhouse of a little country town. So Oliver was born in a poorhouse. He was born itself, he was in a poorhouse. Poorhouse means ಅನಾಥಾಶ್ರಮ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಥಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲಿವರ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಅವನ ಜನನ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕದಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಲಿಟ್ಲ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಟೌನ್, ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ದೇಶದ ಒಂದು ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. When he was born on a cold black night in the winter of 1837. So when was Oliver born? Oliver was born in 1837 in a cold winter night. So in the night time, that was a season of winter, in 1837 he was born. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1837ರ ಒಂದು ಚಳಿಗಾಲದ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಈ ಆಲಿವರ್ನ ಜನನ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. The birth was attended by a doctor who was mostly called for the purpose. So his birth, he was born in a poor house, we already know that, and the birth, the process was attended by a doctor, mostly called doctor. She was not an degree holder, or she hadn't studied, but by the experience she was become doctor. So hostily means Hastily, hostily means urgently. So the Oliver's birth was attended by a hostily called doctor and by an old pauper woman. Old pauper woman. Pauper means poor woman. Pauper woman. Sorry, Pauper. Pauper woman. Pauper woman means poor woman. Poor woman. Dear students, you know that in somewhere there before the hospitals, that time the hospitals were not there in all the cities or in all the villages. There will be no hospitals. In that time, there will be a woman in a very village, those who are very experienced in making deliveries, baby deliveries. So in the same way, we can understand that here is a woman who was experienced in that matter. In such matters, she had attended the birth of Olives. Right? ಈ ಒಂದು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಗಳು ಆಗ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಅಥವಾ ನಗರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ದಾದಿಯ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಜನನ ಕ್ರಿಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅನುಭವ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಓಕೆ, ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾದ ಒಬ್ಬ ಮಹಿಳೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇವ ಜನನದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾತ್ರ ವಹಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. The mother died almost as soon as baby took its first breath. So, when Oliver Twist was born, immediately his mother has been died. His mother has been died immediately. It means to say that when Oliver took his first breath, her mother took her last breath. So, this is the he lost her mother when he born. ಅವನ ಜನನ ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅವನ ತಾಯಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮರಣವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದಾಳೆ. She was a young, good-looking woman who had been found lying in the street. So before she took to that poor house, she was lying on the road. She was lying on the road, and she was a good-looking young lady. She was a good-looking young lady. ಅಂದರೆ ಅವಳು ಒಂದು ಸುಂದರವಾಗಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ವಯಸ್ಸಿನ ಒಬ್ಬ ಮಹಿಳೆ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಅವಳು ರಸ್ತೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿದ್ದಿರ್ತಾಳೆ. It was clear that she had walked some distance before she died. So it can be guessed that she was walked from far away before she has been died. I think she has no relations and she has maybe she was alone. She was alone and she walked from a long distance. Because of that only she has been died. ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಕರು ಏನು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಮೋಸಕ್ಕೊಳಗಾಗಿರ್ತಾಳೆ, ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಅವಳು ದೂರದ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಬಂದಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಅವಳು ಸತ್ತು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾಳೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Her shoes had been torn to pieces. So her slippers or shoes were already torn out. ಅವಳ ಹಾಕಿದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಚಪ್ಪಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಬೂಟುಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಾಗಿದ್ವು, ಆಗಲೇ ಹರಿದು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ವು. So that pieces where she had come from and where she had been going, nobody knew. So she was walked from a long distance. Because of that only her death happens. But nobody knows where she was coming from and where she was going. Nobody knew that. ಅವಳು ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂದು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. The baby cried loudly. When Oliver was born, he cried loudly. Very loudly he cried. If he could have known that he was now an orphan of a poor house, it is likely that he would have cried still louder. So, if he knows that he was the member of that orphan or the poor house, he would have cried still now. ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಮಗು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಾಗ ಅಳ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಅವನಿಗೇನಾದರೂ ತಾನು ಆ ಅನಾಥಾಶ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಆ ಮಗು ಅಳ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತೇನೋ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಭಾವಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. They called him Oliver Twist. So the name Oliver Twist was named by the members of that poor house. It was not kept by his parents. Okay. A name invented by Mr. Bumble, the town beadle, because he could not think of any others. So the Oliver Twist, the name was put by the Mr. Bumble, who the town beadle, because he what type of man Bumble was that he could not think any other. He could not think any other. Here, beadle means an officer. B-E-A-D-L-E. B-E-A-D-L-E. Beadle means an officer. O-F-F-I-C-E-R. He was an officer. He was ಒಬ್ಬ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದ. So here the Mr. Bumble had full authority over the people of that poor house. So he has all the power on that poor house. So he was the head of that poor house. The members who were there on that poor house has to obey his orders. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಅನಾಥಾಶ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವನ ಒಂದು ಅಧಿಕಾರ ಇತ್ತು. He thought himself a very great man indeed. So Mr. Bumble, he thought that he was doing a very great work. ಏನೋ ತಾನು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಾಧನೆಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಭ್ರಮೆಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದ. He starved and ill-treated the children under his care. So he didn't care the children who were there in that poor house. He made them starve and he ill-treated those children, those orphans. ಬೊಂಬಲ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಹಸುವಿನಿಂದ ಬಳದ ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಜನರನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅವನು ನೋಡಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಕ್ರೂರವಾಗಿ ವರ್ತನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ. Oliver's 9th birthday found him a pain. So Oliver already spent 9 years in that orphan. Now he was the boy of 9 years old. Thin child who had already known a kind word or met with a kindly look. He was very thin because he didn't get the food, how much he food needs. He didn't get very short or he didn't get the food how much he need. They didn't give the food, more food for them. That's for children. So that's why he was a very thin child and already known for a kind word and met with a kind look. So he speaks very slowly. Speaks very slowly and he was having a kind look. Those who, if anybody see that boy, they will feel that sympathy on him. That type of look, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಒಂದು ಕರುಣಾಜನಕವಾದಂಥ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ಇದ್ದ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹೇಳಬಹುದು. That his only friends were his little companions in misery, but in the end they brought him trouble. They persuaded him to ask for more. So here, the only companions, only friends, the friends who were there in that orphan were his little companions. ಅವನಂತೆಯೇ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಂತಹ ಕೆಲವು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅವನ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರಾಯಿತು. Companions means here we can say that as a friends. but in misery, the end, the brought him trouble. They persuaded him to ask for. But at the end of this story, they only, those small boys only, put him in a trouble. Put him in a trouble. Here is a word that pursued. P-E-R S-U-A-D. Pursue means convince or believe something. Convince or believe something. Believe something. So they only put him in trouble. So dear students, let us stop here. I will continue the lesson in the next class, and next take on the homework. Homework. I am giving you the homework, and you have to do this in your house and send it in WhatsApp group. Where was Oliver Twist born? The first question, homework. Where was Oliver Twist born? Where was Oliver Twist born? The second question, who were parents when Oliver was, who were present when Oliver was born? Who were present when Oliver was born? When Oliver was born. Third question, what happened? What happened to the mother as soon as the child was born? As soon as Oliver, as soon as the child was born, the child or Oliver, child was born. So these are the three questions I am giving you for your homework. I hope you are all understand the lesson well, and read the lesson in your house and try to answer these questions. Okay, let us stop here. We will meet in the next class. Okay, thank you.